So I was just told I'm the first just standing up here. I'm Ute Rotenberg. I'm the president of the American Numismatic Society, but here as the head of the INC, president of the INC, and it is a really great pleasure to be here at this 30th annual conference of ICOMON. As you all know, the International Committee for Money, Banking, and Banking Museums. And seeing so many people here today, members of ICOMON and otherwise from all over the world, is really a testimony to the strength of this rather small organization. But as president of INC, this is an organization, in case you haven't heard about it, founded in 1927, much more focused on scientific, scholarly, numismatics, sort of scholarly discipline, really. And we have our annual board meeting this coming Sunday, and the reason we combined this thanks to Cecilia, who is both a member, just like myself, of INC and ICOMON, and so we connected this, and I don't know whether Chaim Gittler and François de Calatai are already here. It's early in the morning, maybe not, but they're also here, I promise. There's much of an overlap between these two organizations, but they differ in rather significant ways. And as a recent chairperson of ICOMON before Asma Ibrahim, my dear friend and colleague, took over, I was immediately impressed by the very diverse membership, which is rather different from INC. And this helps us who are also deeply involved, invested in research, education, museums, when it comes to the history of money and banking. And let me first thank Cecilia on all of our behalf here and the staff of the Economics Museum for putting together a remarkable event for ICOMON. Secondly, the very hard-working committee of ICOMON, and I see them all here. There is Asma in the front, Jesse, Blaise, Damon, and somewhere is Ben Hellings, here he is. And having been on that committee, I cannot tell you how much work they have put into this, and I think we owe them all a big thank to putting this program together, and I congratulate you on this. Just allow me to share a thought why I think organizations like ICOMON and INC are so important to our work as scholars and curators interested in coins and money, and in particular how I view the well-chosen topic, cross-organization collaborations, which is sort of a wide term. We live in a very fractured world in which the divide between the rich and the poor is getting larger all the time, and as historians of monetary history, we all recognize the problems of inequality that we see in the countries, and this is really true, sadly, for most countries these days. And I believe we can contribute a little bit to the solution of this existential problem. It is widely acknowledged that financial literacy is so very low, and this is amazingly true across all countries. It really doesn't matter whether you're looking at the United States or some country one might think of less privileged. The literacy rate is extremely low. And there are many surveys that prove this, and it also shows when you read these surveys that this doesn't seem to change despite clearly efforts, and many of you in this room are probably involved in this. To put this a bit differently, most people are totally dependent on money but do not understand how it works, even in the most simple ways. And as forms of money become ever more diverse, cryptocurrency, right, is something that is probably just a question of a few years away, that this is going to be the normal way of payment. People will understand even less how that understands, and I challenge you to get up here and explain to us, exactly how cryptocurrency works, and that then shows how difficult this problem is. So we need to do, as curators, a better job. Maybe think a little bit more about this question, how we can use our own objects, our own resources to explain to the public at large what money is. And here the problem with communicating basic concepts of credit, inflation, or other such topics is that current teaching methods are often very theoretical. If you sort of read these introductions, you see what I mean. And here, museums have a chance by using objects. And I know this is a particular challenge, both digital, but otherwise how to put coins, banknotes, and other objects out to explain a rather difficult concept. But we all see that people, visitors, relate more to an object in front of them, and even better when they can hold it in their hands, which is another way of teaching, when you're trying to get across a particular concept. And here is, as members of ICOMON INC, really anyone involved in the subject, this is the opportunity, and I encourage you all to think big when you approach your next project. What we can learn, therefore, from events such as this one is they shape our outlook. And I've seen this myself, having been to quite a few of them now. As we come from all corners of this globe, and it is important to break out of your own world and look at how people are doing it from a completely different background. And by sharing these ideas, and perhaps this is really the most important aspect why we're here, we become friends often for life, and this is definitely true for me. And I'm very happy to be here to see so many of my friends, some people I've met in person for the first time, but I've known for many years. And I look forward to seeing you all and making more good friends. Thank you very much.
Dear guests and friends of ICOMON, INC, and the museum, and from Sweden, a very good morning from me. And dear Cecilia, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak about ICOMON. My name is Asma Ibrahim, and I will be giving you a little introduction about ICOMON. So ICOMON was created for museums of numismatics, either as completely independent institutions or as part of larger and more general collections, and museums of financial and economic institutions or companies. ICOMON provides a forum for its members to share expertise and experiences relating to a range of museological issues faced by money and banking museums, including the acquisition and conservation of collections, practical issues of security, collections management and care, methods of presentation and display educational projects, including financial education, conceptual questions relating to numismatic museums. The committee offers its members both broad and in-depth discussions and organizes annual meetings, usually hosted by a member organizations like we are today here in Sweden. A brief history of ICOMON by Richard G. Doughty, who was associated with ICOMON from the very beginning in his impressions of the first 10 years from 1994 to 2003, says that without the cheerful volunteerism that has distinguished ICOMON from the very beginning, there would have been nothing but a beginning. Without the hard, sustained labor of many people, ICOMON would have disappeared almost as soon as it saw the light. But because so many wanted it to succeed, it did succeed, overcame its early challenges, and today stands as one of the most dynamic, effective voices in all of the ICOM. The beginning of ICOMON can be traced back to May 1994, when a group of money, mint, and bank museum personnel met in London at the Bank of England premises to formally organize a new member of ICOM, the International Council of Museums. The London meeting was held not to create a new museum group, but rather to ratify, rationalize, and formally proclaim the existence of a museum group that already existed, albeit on an informal basis. The seeds of ICOMON germinated at the Brussels International Numismatic Congress, which took place in the early autumn of 1991. Under ICOM statutes, plenary meetings are held every third year. Matters of general interest are discussed, and ICOM subgroups hold meetings of their own in conjunction with the major events. During the Madrid conference, it was decided that an ICOMON newsletter should be published at regular intervals, which we still do. It has a bilingual French-English forerunners since 1994, the ICOMON magazine published in Brussels. First issue went out early 2000. sent largely by airmail. As a number of other annual meetings, the papers given in Barcelona were published in a solid volume of proceedings. This collection is one of the best in Barcelona. Barcelona meeting was dwarfed by the one held in Beijing in October 2002, sponsored and organized by the People's Bank of China, their China Numismatic Museum, and a number of other public and private organizations. It bore the general title, Money and Banking, the Varieties of Monetary Experience. So over 60 papers were published in several languages. And approximately 350 people attended part of those meetings. The Michael Elram prepared an exhibition, Money from Austria, which was on show in China Numismatic Museum. This was the first step for an exhibition exchange between colleagues from ICOMON, the China Numismatic Museum, and it gave an exhibition Geld aus China to the Kunsthistorische Museum in Vienna in 2003. So this was a little brief about it. The last few years have shown us that museums all over the world are facing an increasing number of challenges. Climate change, globalization, and questions of identity are forcing institutions to change traditional way of operating. This year's theme of the conference is cross-organization collaboration. And the conference will explore new techniques in the fields of digital technology, display and exhibitions, as well as publications in money and banking museums. Presenters are encouraged that address the issues that curators and managers of collections encounter in the changing world, and how to encourage cross-organization collaborations internationally. So from 2019 to 21, we were online due to COVID, and we had Zoom meetings. The ICOMON 22 conference was a hybrid conference held on 23rd August 2022, National Museum of Prague and the Conference Hall Prague. In 2023, we had a wonderful conference in Malaysia, Negara Bank. The the Economic Museum, the Royal Coin Cabinet, is hosting ICOMON's annual conference from 25th to 28th, 2024, in collaboration with ICOMON and the International Numismatic Conference. And we are in close contact with museums and education field. The briefing about the role of ICOM in the field of museums, training of staff, exchange of knowledge is always brought forward, and new members are encouraged to join as well as institutions. Volunteers to represent ICOMON and ICOM are encouraged to at every forum and meetings, and ICOMON is trying its best to grow its network, produced a high-quality social media campaign, collaborating to reach new audience. I hope ICOMON continues to grow, continues to plan, and hope that the membership reach in hundreds. We have come a very long way in a very short time, but work remains undone, challenges remain unmet, and we are still underrepresented in Asia and especially in Africa. We must work hard to secure more memberships in those regions and to retain and expand memberships in areas of relatively greater representation, Europe and America. The surest way of achieving both objectives is to remember the reasons why we came together in the first place some 30 years ago. We met informally and then organized formally because we wanted and needed a sounding board and a neutral meeting place where museological problems could be discussed, ideas be adopted or rejected. The voice of experience and the possibility of new concepts receive equal attention. If we remain true to these memories, we cannot but succeed ICOMON and will continue to advise, instruct, and serve. I wish you all a very successful conference, and my special thanks to Ms. Amanardi, the president of ICOM, who could not attend this conference due to her busy schedule, but very kind and sent us the video recorded message and her best wishes. Like I spoke about the theme of the museum, in the end, I would like to acknowledge the unfailing help of the Economic Museum once again, the Royal Coin Cabinet and its team who worked tirelessly to make this conference happen. the higher authorities and the sponsors of the conference who were involved in the arrangement. I wish you all a very successful conference. And last but not the least, my special thanks to the board members of ICOMON who made this conference possible today. I wish you all a very successful conference. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you.
My name is Helene Ronlund, and I'm very honored to be here as chair of ICOM Sweden to welcome you here to Economic Museum and also to this conference. To host an annual conference for an international committee in the ICOM community is an important event in many aspects. It is a lot of work and responsibilities, as we have heard just before here. Planning of a conference theme that will be of value for the participants, arrangements for the activities, excursions, etc. A lot of work and a lot of responsibilities. It is also an important investment in the worldwide network of museum professionals. The possibility to meet colleagues from all over the world for discussions about strategic topics, but also about challenges in everyday life of a museum. The outcome is perhaps new insights and perspectives for each one of you, even new partnerships, friendships, and collaborations. The value of a conference like this is hard to measure, and it's not possible to measure in coins. But the real result depends on the investment from all of you in this room during these 3 days. So please take the advantage to make this a successful conference together. From a national committee's point of view, like ICOM Sweden, a conference like this, ICOMON or ICOMON Annual Conference, helps us to support our mission to highlight the significance of international perspectives and collaborations also to the rest of the Swedish museum sector. On behalf of the board of ICOM Sweden, I wish to thank the Economic Museum for hosting this annual conference, especially to Cecilia. I believe your courage to do this and efforts in organizing this event will inspire other Swedish museums and colleagues to get involved in international committees, maybe even to host an international meeting and conference like this. I have tried to find out when the last conference was, and nobody remembers, so this is a unique event. Thank you also to the board of ICOMON for choosing Sweden as your partner for this event. It's a great honor for us. The conditions for museums and museum professionals can look very different depending on where in the world all of you are active. Regardless of where you fulfill your duties, or we share something very essential that has no borders. We share the passion for preserving the collective cultural heritage and for strengthening the role of museums in society. The theme for this conference, Cross-Organizational Collaborations, is focusing on several of the prioritized missions that unite the members of ICOM, safeguarding and protection of cultural heritage in the face of climate change, but also in the face of armed conflicts in the world. Digital development in order to improve the management and accessibility of collections in educational programs, also based on exhibitions and research. All with the overall headline, collaboration. I wish to conclude by wishing you all interesting and inspirational days during this conference. And as our president can't be here, I have greetings from her as well, and also from our Director General, Ms. Medea Ekner, who happens to be Swedish. They are sorry not to come, But with these words, I wish to introduce a digital greeting from Ms. Emma Nardi to all of you in ICOMON. And thank you for your attention and congratulations to ICOMON's anniversary of 30 years. Now we will see if I can do this.
Grateful to Asma Ibrahim for inviting me to say a few words at the introduction of the annual conference of ICOMON, organized in collaboration with the prestigious Economy Museum and Royal Coin Cabinet. The conference will take place in the splendid venue of the Royal Palace in Stockholm that you visited yesterday. Lucky you. 110 participants from more than 38 countries will take part in the conference. There will be presenters from more than 20 countries from the globe. This great diversity is the best answer to ICOM's strategic plan. Reading your very interesting program, I remembered an analogy that I read a long time ago. It says, money is for the state body what blood is for the animal body. If blood stops circulating in the body, the animal dies. In the same way, if money stops circulating, it is the state that dies. All of us citizens are involved in the circulation of money. And the very etymology of the word money, from the Latin moneta, is very interesting. Moneta derives from the verb monere, in Latin, to warn, to give advice. In relationship with the current meanings, comes from Roman history. The goddess Juno, who had a large temple on the Capitol Hill, was called Moneta because she gave advice to the Roman Republic. When the Romans placed the mint in the foundation of the temple, the attribute of the goddess came to designate money. Reading financial articles, we hear terms like inflation, deflation, interest rate that should advise us on the right way to use our money. We don't have a goddess, but as museum professionals, none of us is very rich, and so we don't need a lot of advice. So far, I have referred to banknotes, but gold, silver, copper coins have been very important in the history of exchange and humanity. And I would like to say that they were the first social media. Roman emperors engraved their profiles on the coins to allow the citizens to recognize them in all the empire. Very clever of them. This is why when we flip a coin, we say heads or tails. I would like to conclude with a mention of the educational importance of the topic you deal with. If a group of students enter a museum and see a collection of paintings on one side and the display cases of numismatic collection on the other, they will probably be attracted by the colors and shapes, more than by the severity of the numismatic display. But it is precisely the cross-collaboration between numismatists and museum educators that can create very rich synergies. Coins are a primary historical source, so not filtered by opinion. Learning to read coins nurtures the spirit of observation, helps you focus on details, and develops the ability to make inference. I wish you all a wonderful conference. Thank you.
Dear participants of the annual ICOMON conference, as the director of the Economy Museum Royal Coin Cabinet and a committee member of the INC, International Numismatic Council, it is both an honor and a great pleasure to see you all here today. The theme of this year's conference, Cross-Organization Collaborations, is one that really resonates deeply within our museum and is really a part of us. And collaboration is not only something that we strive for, it's actually a fundamental part of how we operate at our museum. It is a cornerstone that supports every aspect of our work. And today, I'd like to share with you why this collaboration is so essential to us. First, it helps us grow. By working together, we are able to better fulfill our mission. Through collaboration, we can reach a larger audience and amplify our impact, which is something that I think we all can agree that is critical for success for museums and cultural institutions. Second, it strengthens our resources. When we collaborate, we have an opportunity to merge our resources, whether it's financial, intellectual, or human. And the strength that comes from sharing knowledge and support with other organizations enable us to achieve things that we could not have accomplished by ourselves. Thirdly, it enriches our knowledge. When we partner with others, we open ourselves to new perspectives and insights. And the constant exchange of ideas and expertise helps us grow intellectually and professionally. And it often leads to breakthroughs that we might not have imagined before. And finally, collaboration is actually fun. It's a lot of fun. Working with others brings fresh energy and creativity to our projects. And it allows us to step out of our routines and challenge the way we think and infuse our work with new life and energy. So I hope this conference will inspire new collaborations and spark fresh ideas among all of you. And I personally know how much impact these conferences can have. Back in 2013, me and my dear colleague, Ulrika Bornestaff, we attended a conference, the ICOMON General Conference in Rio de Janeiro. And that was where we, for the first time, were introduced to the concept of financial literacy. We were truly inspired by this incredible work that was done in South America. And I know that also there was a presentation of the British Museum on this topic. And when we came back to our museum, this has really been an inspiration since then, and that has actually influenced the development of our new exhibitions and educational programs at our museum. Over the past decade, our museum has faced some challenges, and one major challenge has been the relocation of our museum. Due to sharply increased rental costs, a decision was made in 2016 to move from our location in the Old Town, very close to where we were yesterday, and into here to the same building as the Swedish History Museum. And after several years of planning and hard work, I'm pleased to say that the 1st of June this year, we finally opened our new permanent exhibitions. And with that, we can officially declare that the move is completed. Although, of course, we have new exciting projects that are still ahead of us in different ways. And this opening of the new exhibitions marks the end of one chapter and is the beginning of a new era for us. And I hope this new era will be one that is productive, innovative, and filled with exciting collaborations. And to have this conference, it's a bit like a celebration for us, and it's fantastic to share this with you. So now, before I go any further, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the two key contributors that have made this conference possible: the Swedish Numismatic Society and the Gunnar Ekström Foundation for Numismatic Research. Their generous support has allowed us to For example, provide free lunches for all attendees, to film the presentations, and to subsidize the event. So I think we should give them a warm hand of applause. And I also think that this conference itself, it's a shining example of cross-organization collaboration. And so I also want to extend my gratitude to ICOMON, the ICOMON board, for the great partnership when organizing this event. And especially thank you, a special thanks goes to Asma Ibrahim and Ute Wartenberg from the INC, and for Ben Hellings. We have had a lot of team meetings, and I think it was a really great collaboration. So once again, thank you all for being here. I am confident that this conference will be inspiring, productive, and full of fruitful exchanges. And let's just make the most of the opportunity to connect and collaborate and to create together. So thank you, and I wish you all to have a wonderful and successful conference.